we take it back. We're going to talk about blogging first, and then Paula will be with us as soon as we're done. So this segment, we are talking, the title is Writing a Great Real Estate Blog in 12 Steps. And we're going to go through kind of these number 1 to number 12, but the reason we're doing this twofold. Number 1, again, 300 of you, as of hopefully the end of next week, are going to have access to blogging. And this is an amazing way to help generate some business.
What was the timeline you said on that?
Well, technically...
End of the month.
End of the month.
End of the month.
End of the month. Yes, end of the month.
Everyone will have people have access to blogging on the Conversion platform, which is great.
Yes, sounds good. It's going to be sooner. But the point is, it's good. But the point is, it's really good to figure all of this stuff out and to start writing some content, because to have a bank of content that when this becomes available, you can copy paste from a Google Doc or a Word doc so that you can have some content is good. So one of the main reasons that you guys should blog, and I know that it's not easy to do, not very many people love content writing, they don't love blogging. 70% of consumers prefer getting to know a business via articles than ads, and 17% of all consumers are looking for information about the home buying and selling process online right now. So blogging is a great way to accomplish both of those tasks. We're not going to take a billion years to get through this because we do have 12 points, but we're going to start with number 1. Lindsay, hit us off, and it's what topic do you want to write about?
Cool, absolutely. So our first slide here, or our first topic, taking us through this, is what topic do I want to write about? And obviously, the thing here is you got to be getting into the heads of your customers. What do my clients care about? That's the number one question. And you can brainstorm and say, well, what kind of information can I share and things like that. And that's not bad. But really think about what your clients care about. What are the questions that you get asked most often? What kind of things are your clients having challenges with? Things like that. So you can also, Google has this incredible keyword search tool. So you can go onto Google, check the keyword search tool, and you're going to see actually what people are searching for as it relates to real estate, homes, and the transactions. So you can piggyback off that and share information on it. And then the second piece of this is ask yourself, what do you care about? Now, you're human too, and you're a consumer as well, so you have some pretty good information, but also writing about stuff that you're passionate about, that you know that are relevant to the local marketplace, areas of real estate that you're really good at, that you have a ton of information on, is a great place to start. So what do your clients care about, and what do you care about?
I'm going to add one thing to that. So I was at a session at the conference, and one of the topics was blogging, and some very, very big companies who spend the amount of money they spend on their websites would absolutely blow your mind. And when you spend that much money, you really track what gets traction. And more so than anything that they wrote about, anything that had to do with local lifestyle, local amenities, and community-based features went through the roof and had the most longevity months and years later when people were still Googling those things, their website kept coming back. So even if it's not about real estate, if you have a favorite coffee, like literally things like favorite coffee shop, best places to go skating in the winter in a city, little things like this, most traffic, most clicks than anything real estate specific related.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, okay, number 2, how will you focus your post? So obviously you don't have time to write an encyclopedia on a certain given topic. So it's really nice to be able to narrow down what you're going to do into something that makes sense. So even for what we're doing today, it's not everything you need to know to write a blog and best practices on blogging. It's 12 steps to writing a better blog. So a couple real estate examples for that could be, if you want to write about how to buy your first home, writing about that could be a full book. But you could narrow it down and pick a very specific angle, like top 10 critical must-haves in your first home that are great for resale value.
Perfect.
Yeah, so finding a way to say, I'm going to take a big topic and narrow it down to something that's the 5 points about this or the 7 points about this, and not trying to be too broad because you'll end up having something very long-winded that you probably don't have enough research about to be accurate.
Cool, cool. Point number 3 is, what's the goal of my post? Now, this sounds like, what will I focus on? This sounds like the angle again, but it is different because it's, what do you want to achieve with this? What's the end result of all of this? And a great question to ask is, by the end of this post, what do I want my reader to know or be able to do at the end of it? And that's it. So very simply, starting with the end in mind is a great way to achieve that.
Great. Number 4, what do I already know about this topic? So you've decided what to write about. there's going to be a certain amount of knowledge that you just have that's inherent as you are an expert in your field, and none of that should go ignored. So we're going to talk a little bit more about researching and stuff later, but the things that you know to be true from your personal experience, that's what's going to resonate the most with your reader, and any ability to showcase your experience and your hands-on knowledge of a subject should be the first little points that you're writing down in regards to any topic.
Perfect, which ties into number 5, which then you start identifying and asking the question of what more do I need to learn about this topic? And that way it's like you don't know every little piece. A good example of this is I had to do an interview on the Canadian real estate market, and I got to give a big shout out to TD. They gave me a whole bunch of information on getting those foreign buyers approved. People that are non-residences, can they get mortgages? How much do they have to put down? And I put a little shout out to some people, and they gave me the knowledge, and that little piece of how the Canadian real estate market worked was able to be filled in on that. So go to other people around you, go to experts in the related topics, do some Googles, things like that, but just fill in the gaps of your knowledge, and making sure you address it at the start is a good way to go.
And number 7, which is a little bit on that point, is what new information, in addition to your specific content, will you bring in? And this is where you're adding in statistics, or you're finding an outside source, or you're going to get a really great infographic or another graphic from somebody else that you can bring in. So this is kind of a third-party testimonial. So for any of you university students, whenever you had to write a paper, it had to be your unique thought. Then you would do some research where you would add some research into your unique thought that you would learn. But then you also had your third-party sources that kind of backed up what you were learning. What's really, really important in blogging is anytime you take an image from somewhere or you get a piece of information from somewhere else, you absolutely have to cite that. That's really, really critical. And to cite it, you could just, if you wanted to do little brackets and say the name of the website, name of the author, you can do that. You could put a little asterisk, the little star sign, just at the end of a statement, at the bottom of your blog post, add that asterisk and just cite where it's from. But in terms of credibility, that's important to you. And there's one thing that some people in our industry do that absolutely drives me mental, and it's how they steal ideas from other people and literally quote themselves for those ideas.
Yeah, totally.
And you know what, anybody who's been to a real estate seminar or who has read really good topic books on sales or marketing, there's enough of an educated force that knows that this is not your unique idea, that it almost undermines your credibility. So don't act like an idea is yours. You will still look very, very smart by looking well-read and well-educated and giving credit to where credit is due.
Totally, absolutely. All right, number 7, what are my main points? Now, this is straight out of high school essay writing, but you got to make sure that this isn't just a series of ramblings. Yep. Of course, you want your post to be relatable, but you also want it to sound professional, and you got to know what you're talking about. So, and again, it can sound personal. I shouldn't say professional necessarily, but you want it to feel like you're organized with your topic. So don't get more than 3 to 5 main points. Trying to write too much about that, this thing starts becoming a novel, and it can be difficult to organize it all together. So again, what's the focus going to be? What's my end goal? Can bring that together. Unless the only sort of exception to this, I guess, is if you have a list. If you were to say 34 ways, 34 things to do for your home before showing start. Yep. Then, of course, you can have a bulleted list. But overall, if it's conceptual based, 3 to 5 points is probably good enough.
Perfect. The next topic that we're going to talk about is on that, which is how long should my blog post be? And to your point, if you have more than 3 to 5 main points, you're really looking at, I would say, 4 to 6 sentences per point. So at that, you have an essay if you have more than 3 to 5 points. And it doesn't mean you don't want to have an essay, but let's say you do want to have an essay. It better be really, really, really good, and it should be 10% of your total amount of content on your website. And some people will, there's words that people use for kind of like a white paper where you take one idea and you get a bunch of research and you back it up and it becomes a fundamental piece of content. Those are okay, but for the most part, anything you blog about should be bite-sized. Somebody should be able to go reference it, get the gist, and then be able to move on. Because the way that blog posts are typically shared and consumed aren't for people that are meant to sit down and take 20 minutes to read something. A good idea on this for anyone who hasn't blogged is go to a couple of real estate websites in general and just click to see what they've done. Google best real estate blogs, And there will be a list of different links that you can click on, and it'll give you a good idea of what people are blogging about, the general size, and you're right, like 3 to 5 points, couple paragraphs at most, or you're doing lists.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, number 9. What relevant keyword terms will I use? So this is so critical, because one of the best value that you're going to get out of blogging is the fact that people often find you organically through the search results. So this is a big part of your SEO strategy, is your blog. Google loves blogs because it's unique content, it's fresh, and it's typically, obviously you haven't duplicated it, so don't duplicate your content as well. But what relevant keyword terms will I use? Use the Google keyword tool again to figure out how to phrase it. So when you start writing, you want to mention one or two keywords more often than others in order to make sure that it stays relevant, on task, and that consumers who are searching for those keyword terms can find your post. So here's some criteria to select or to think about when you're selecting your keywords. They should be relevant to your topic. They should have significant search volume, so lots of users will be searching for them. Obviously, you can just write about how much you love crochet. That might not be relevant to real estate, but for the most part, so keep it relevant to what people are searching for, and choose more than one. Use a few similar focus terms on the subject, ranging from short and long tail. Just remember, short tail is things like Calgary real estate. Long tail would be like best places to eat in Marda Loop, and as an example.
That's a good example.
Yeah.
Cool. Next one is, what visuals will I use for my post? This is a really big one, because images will typically generate 94% more views to any content that you write. 94% means that don't write a blog if you don't have a visual, right? Like it's such a huge number. So there's a couple images that you need to have. Number 1, a cover image. So this is typically at the top of your post. So just kind of like the header image. The next is an image that's within the body. So that can be some sort of supplementary image. So maybe it's a little infographic. Maybe it's just somebody shaking a hand, but just something to break it up, especially if you have a lot of content. Any sort of diagrams or infographics. So even just an image of statistics could be a good one. Krebs has so many. The real estate review that we have, cutting and pasting a little snapshot of that if you're talking about something market specific. And then any videos, if you want to embed a video in your blog, you can. If you want to link to a video in a blog, you can. The most important things that you're going to have, though, are that cover image and a body image if you're able to have one. One note on images: if you choose to steal images off of the internet, as a brokerage, we get because you're listed as working for CIR Realty, when somebody goes to your website and there's an image that you've stolen and you haven't paid for, like Getty Images, Shutterstock Images, send us letters with your name saying, like, this person owes us $800. So in general, and like for the most part, we have to follow up on that. My recommendation, if you're going to start blogging, is go to a place like Shutterstock and spend $200 and buy 20 credits of different images that are just pertinent to real estate in general that you can use here and there, because it's going to make your life so much easier. You have rights to those. You can use them wherever you want. It's not that expensive. You don't have to get something specific enough that you can just use once. 20 images is a lot of images, and then you know that you are good and that you have some good image content.
Yeah. Also, Google free stock images or free royalty-free stock images.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's lots of sources out there.
Absolutely.
But your point is so well taken. If you guys want to get a lot of exposure, don't cheap out on this. Do not cheap out on this, because you will pay the piper.
Yeah, it's not worth it. But you're right, royalty-free stock images, and there are a lot of them. That is an excellent first way to start.
Free royalty-free stock images for sure.
Good suggestion.
Cool. All right, will my post be bolstered with a download? So obviously you're going to educate, you're going to be doing something, part of your post to give people some great information, but at the end of it, it's okay to say, hey, why don't you request this piece of information, and why don't you download this piece of super content or whatever else we have. It might be a checklist and an opt-in of some type, and it's a great way to capture people's information and provide them with some tangible things that they can have as a takeaway after reading your article. And like Kirsten said, great way to get leads. These people, obviously, who have requested your 15 things to prepare your house before selling, now can say, oh gosh, like that's valuable to me. So
a good example that many of you may know for this one is HubSpot. So HubSpot does a ton of marketing, and they will give away such great content, pages and pages of things that I use on a daily basis. but you have to opt in to get it. So kind of read this information, give them your email addresses, and they'll send you the 15-page report. And now they have a way to get in touch with you. But I myself also received this great piece of content. So if you're interested in what something like that could look like, go to HubSpot for some good examples.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, number 12, what's my post title? The title of your post is so unbelievably important. A couple things to think about. Is it eye-catching, and does it have shareable appeal? Number 2, does it include a target keyword? Again, that's important for Google, but it's also important for somebody who's just really quickly trying to reference something in the wide world of Google and all of the text that'll come up on a page. The third one, does it speak directly to the points that your audience is looking for? So there is something about having, I guess, a witty, I don't want to say you don't want to have a witty title, because sometimes that's really great, but you also don't want to have a convoluted title that isn't very, very clear and isn't referenceable to what somebody's typing in when they're searching for it. So just make sure that you are on that. And then again, think about a news article. There's a headline, has to capture an attention. Is it going to do that?
Cool. And in conclusion here, I'm just going to read these really quick, because it's these questions after the final edit and publishing. So the blog is done.
Yep.
You're now going to do some editing before you publish it. Here are some quick things to focus on. Will my post resolve one essential pain point my leads have? You're thinking about what pain, just trying to give them resolution of a pain point.
Yeah.
Does my post main points fulfill the goal? Did I stay focused with my chosen angle? Did I properly use a range of related keywords naturally throughout the post? You can't just say Calgary real estate is a very important Calgary real estate related marketplace in Calgary real estate. That doesn't work well. Google actually punishes you for that. It's called keyword stuffing. Does the post make sense given my lead's level of knowledge on the topic? Don't use acronyms. There's so many industry-related acronyms. Don't use them. Is there any critical information missing that I should add? Is the headline captivating? And finally, would I be excited to read and care about this content?
Very good.
So thank you to Playster. That's the source of the information. And you guys can...
And also Institute.
Yeah.
We actually found this information through Leading RE's educational platform, which is number 5 in the entire world for all educational platforms across all industries. So if any of you haven't clicked on the Institute link in the Leading RE column, we spoke about that. I think quite a few meetings ago. We should revisit that. But great content in there as well.
This is available in the library section, so you guys can see this, and there's some follow-up materials on it for a blog prep checklist as well. So go ahead to Institute. Go ahead and find it, and it'll be great.